Morning, Christine Regan Lake here. Hope all is well. So today I'm continuing our discussion on the 18 schemas, which are basically a core belief or global metaphor that someone holds at the deepest level. These are usually created in childhood from traumatic experiences. So today we're going to discuss the subjugation schema. So what does that mean if someone has the subjugation schema? Well, if someone feels subjugated, it means they feel like held down, right? They feel like they are subjugated against their will, that someone else always gets to decide for them what's going to, go down. They don't have their voice, they don't own their voice, and so as a result, the emotions that they tend to feel on a day-to-day basis are incredible feelings of anger and resentment, and ultimately rage, because when you suppress anger and resentment over a long enough period of time, eventually those emotions alchemize into rage, and now you can start exploding at people. Well, so how does someone develop a subjugation schema? This typically happens when children grow up in an environment where they have like domineering parents or parent, and that parent is continually kind of hovering over them and doesn't let them decide anything for themselves. They are very, and in terms of how they rule the roost, it can be kind of like violent, aggressive, condescending, rolling their eyes, things like that. And so anytime the child tries to make its own decision, walk its own path, stand up for what the child wants, the parent will freak out and overreact and respond in that way, whether it's screaming, yelling, rolling their eyes, disrespecting, contemptuous, things like that. So the child gets entrained into believing that they don't have their voice, and eventually over time they kind of take on that persona that they are subjugated and they are at the will of what others decide for them. And so it starts out with the parents, then it might eventually be a boyfriend or girlfriend or a husband or boss or whatever it is. And you're kind of always in that victim role of feeling like you don't have any say in your life. You end up agreeing to things that you don't want to agree to. You end up doing things that you don't want to do because you feel like you can't speak up. You feel like for whatever, because of these experiences in your childhood, you feel like you don't have the right to, speak up and say, well, this doesn't work for me and I don't feel like doing that. And so, it just perpetuates itself. You end up in more and more dynamics, friendships, relationships, lovers, marriage, with people who treat you in that way, who you will attract people into your life who will treat you the same way that you were treated as a child. This goes back to how we develop our beliefs around love. So, if your core beliefs in childhood were, your mother and father, that love meant being subjugated, being controlled, being manipulated, not having your voice, not having to be able to speak your truth and do as you please, then that's exactly the dynamic that you're going to create in your life. You'll go out and work for a boss who treats you that way. You will end up in a relationship or a marriage in which you are subjugated. Now, the thing is, though, again, we always have to take responsibility. So what happened to us in our childhood is not our fault, but it is our responsibility as adults to heal the stuff that happened in our childhood so that we can reach a place of, shrugging off those schemas, those negative schemas, those beliefs that no longer serve us, and learning to speak our truth, learning to say no when it's no, stop being people pleasers, and start doing what is in alignment with our soul, what is in respect of our dignity. And so, again, this all goes back to, there's no escaping it. We have to heal our wounds. You either do the work or you don't. But again, if you stay there and remain there, being a victim, that is a choice, right? So no action is a choice. You are choosing not to fix this. If you observe in your environment that you're tired of being a people pleaser, that you're tired of doing things for other people, overextending yourself, because you feel like you have to, because you feel like tremendous guilt if you don't, because you feel indebted, and that this is just how it works. No. Self-love is about learning to take care of your own needs first. It's about putting your mask on first when the airplane, gets into trouble. You have to take care of yourself first before you can nourish and feed other people. So, figuring out where in your childhood, what experiences created that schema within you that made you feel like you were subjugated, that you had no control. It's about healing that, releasing it, and then, moving on into a healthier way of existing where you do speak your truth, and one of the first things in this process is learning to say no. The next time someone asks you to do something that doesn't work for you, where you normally would have said yes, now it's time to step up and start adulting and say, no, I'm sorry, that really doesn't work for me. I appreciate you asking, whatever, but it just doesn't work for me. We have to learn to create healthy boundaries if we're going to have a healthy environment, a healthy life, a circle of respect and dignity with the people that interact with us. So if you feel like you at all struggle with the subjugation schema, that you're a people pleaser, that you're saying no to things that aren't in agreement with what you need and want at that moment, then it's up to you to, put a line in the sand and say, I'm done with that. I'm done, swallowing my truth. I'm done doing things that don't work for me simply because this is how I was indoctrinated growing up, just because this was how I was entrained when I was a little child. You're an adult now. You have absolute choices about how you live your life, how you engage with people, how you demand to be respected. And if after you start initiating these things, people start giving you friction because you're standing up for yourself, well, then that's just tough, because you know what, people who love you are going to respect that you have a right to what you believe, what you feel, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. And, the people who are going to be the most pissed about you putting up healthy boundaries are the people who benefit from you not having boundaries, that benefit from you being a people-pleasing, over-giving, kind of sacrificial lamb on behalf of them. So, it's a choice, right? Everything's a choice in life. So if you feel that this is something that resonated with you, I truly hope that you start making those changes. You deserve to have the life that you crave. You deserve to be happy, healthy, fulfilled, and respected. And the people in your circle, they can either step up or they can step out. It's really as simple as that. It's really whatever you decide when you start putting up your boundaries. And if people can't rise to that level, rise to that occasion as you are putting up those healthy boundaries, then they just may need to be cut from your inner circle. It's all a matter of the standards that you're going to set for your life. So I hope you found value in that. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thanks. Bye.